Welcome to Golden Fortune Leo, where we don't just read your horoscope, we dissect it like a seasoned psychologist, a wandering monk, and a slightly dramatic novelist, all sharing the same cup of coffee. If you're a Leo who has crawled, limped, or roared your way through 2025 wondering, was the universe testing me or did I accidentally sign up for the advanced level of life, then you are exactly where you need to be. Today's deep dive is titled Leo, the best is yet to come, and we're going to explore, with unsettling honesty and comforting humor, how you're closing out the wild karmic chapter of 2025 and stepping into the threshold of 2026. This is not just another feel-good pep talk or vague list of predictions. Think of it as a cosmic debriefing session where we unpack why certain relationships drained you, why some opportunities slipped away just as you reached for them, and why your soul kept whispering, you deserve more, even when your circumstances said otherwise. From an astrological standpoint, we'll look at how the shifting planetary energies have been nudging, pushing, and occasionally drop-kicking you toward maturity, self-worth, and a deeper kind of courage than the usual Leo spotlight bravado. Through the lens of psychology, we'll talk about boundaries, emotional burnout, and that stubborn Leo habit of giving your best to people who only show up for the encore. And with a bit of Buddhist flavor, we'll reflect on how letting go is not losing, but clearing space for something cleaner, kinder, and more aligned with who you are becoming. By the end of this session, you won't just hear that the best is yet to come as a pretty slogan, you'll understand the inner work that makes that promise real. So take a breath, adjust your crown, yes, even if it's a little crooked from everything you've been through, and settle in. We're about to turn your lessons into wisdom, your scars into authority, and your late 2025 chaos into the very foundation of a brighter, braver 2026. Looking back at 2025, many Leos would probably agree that the year felt suspiciously like a cosmic documentary titled something along the lines of "People who love Leo, borrow their sunshine, and then act shocked when they get a sunburn." Even if you were not born in the year of the snake, the energy of shedding, confronting, and awakening wrapped itself around your life with unnerving consistency. You learned more about human nature in 12 months than some people learn in an entire decade, and much of that insight arrived through moments you did not exactly volunteer for. People revealed their motives without intending to. Circumstances unfolded with the kind of dramatic flair only the universe can orchestrate. And you began to understand, almost despite yourself, a truth woven deeply into Buddhist teachings: not every person who appears in your life is meant to walk into your future with you. Some show up as teachers, though they often disguise themselves as complications, disappointments, or walking red flags you hoped were just decorative. In 2025, you saw the difference between those who came for your energy and those who respected your essence. You recognized who valued connection and who simply needed a mirror to reflect themselves. You discovered that some people are happy to warm their hands by your fire until they realize the fire is not theirs to command. This is not a flaw in you, it is a revelation about them. And while the process may have felt like emotional pruning with dull gardening shears, it served a purpose larger than your immediate comfort. You were being prepared. Because here is the quiet beauty behind the chaos: the snake only appears when you are standing in the garden. And Leo, 2026 is undeniably your garden. The universe has been clearing weeds, trimming dead branches, and removing anything that cannot walk beside you into the next chapter. Pruning stings, especially for a sign with a heart as generous as yours, but in every spiritual tradition, endings are the sacred doorway to beginnings that align with truth. What fell away in 2025 did not collapse, it was cleared. What left was not punishment, it was permission for better things to enter. And as you move toward 2026, the garden is finally ready for planting, blooming, and thriving in ways you may have doubted were possible during the hardest months of the year that tested you. For Leo, The months leading into 2026 carry a very specific mandate, one so clear it might as well be written across the sky in blazing letters: speak it, claim it, do it. The Eight of Wands, a card of movement and decisive communication, reflects a truth many Leos conveniently forget in their daily heroism. Feeling something intensely does not guarantee that others will sense it, understand it, or respect it. You may have a heart capable of broadcasting emotions at the frequency of a solar flare, yet your external expression often softens out of courtesy, fear of conflict, or a deep instinct to avoid giving people the wrong kind of power over you. Throughout 2025, this quietness backfired. You saw how silence can be misinterpreted as surrender, how restraint can be mistaken for indifference, and how giving people the benefit of the doubt sometimes results in them taking the whole benefit and leaving you the doubt. This new chapter requires a psychological, spiritual, and social shift. It asks you to speak your goals out loud, even if your voice shakes a little. Declare your boundaries without apologizing for them. Ask for what you want without shrinking your desires down to what seems polite. Take action consistently, not only when you feel inspired. And perhaps most importantly, stop doubting that you deserve the very things you are working toward. Communication, at this stage of your evolution, is not merely language, it is self-definition. It is the way you assert your identity in a world that loves to project its own stories onto anyone who shines as brightly as you do. If a Leo does not narrate their own story, someone else will attempt to tell it for them, and their version will never capture your nuance, your resilience, or your fire. So the task is simple, though not always easy. Speak more clearly. Move with purpose. Act with intention. Step into rooms as though you belong there, because you do. When you align your voice with your actions, the universe responds as if it has been waiting for your signal all along. Doors you once believed were locked begin to open. Opportunities that felt distant move toward you. And you discover, perhaps with a laugh at your earlier hesitation, that the universe was not withholding anything, it was waiting for you to claim it. When we take a sober, well-trained look at the psychological and astrological currents of your past year, it becomes clear that 2025 drew out one of Leo's oldest karmic patterns, the instinct to appear fiercely composed even when the heart is carrying enough emotional weight to tilt a small planet. Many Leos found themselves caught in an exhausting loop that felt almost scripted. One moment everything was aligning beautifully, the kind of moment where you tell yourself the universe must finally be giving you a break. And then, without warning, something snapped sideways, and you were left staring at the ceiling thinking, how did this unravel so fast? That whiplash was not random. It resembled a psychological phenomenon known as intermittent reinforcement, the same mechanism that keeps people emotionally invested in unstable relationships or unpredictable environments. The mind, when rewarded inconsistently, begins to cling harder, hoping the next high will be the one that stabilizes everything. But the deeper truth, the one most Leos hesitate to admit even to themselves, is that it wasn't a person, job, or circumstance sabotaging your progress. What truly held you back was your attachment to an outdated version of yourself. You were trying to step into a future built on confidence, clarity, and self-worth while still operating from the emotional patterns of an older identity. Deep inside, you were still playing roles you mastered long ago, the giver who never asks for anything, the fixer who patches everyone else's cracks while ignoring your own, the strong one who carries burdens for the entire village, the self-sacrificer who believes endurance is the same as love, the forgiver who hands out second chances like coupons no one earned. These roles once helped you survive and even shine, but in 2025 they became heavy costumes that no longer fit the person you are becoming. The reason the same cycles kept repeating was not fate being cruel but loyalty being misplaced. You kept standing by people who were never committed to your expansion, only to the comfort they found in your presence. That loyalty is noble, but it is also the very thing the universe spent the last year urging you to outgrow. The good news is that this cycle is closing. The identity you are shedding is not a loss but a liberation, clearing the path for relationships, opportunities, and experiences that match the strength you no longer have to pretend to possess. In the present moment, Leo finds themselves standing in one of those rare and delicate thresholds that spiritual teachers, philosophers, and astrologers alike often describe but few people truly experience with such intensity. You are in a liminal space, suspended between what has already shaped you and what is preparing to welcome you. It is not stagnation, it is a cosmic pause, the kind that occurs just before a wave crests or a performer steps into the light. With Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, the universe is insisting on internal work before external expansion. It is as though life itself has placed a hand on your shoulder and whispered, "Before I give you what you've asked for, let's make sure you are ready to hold it." This period is the metaphorical inhale before the leap, the strengthening of muscles before a marathon, the quiet darkness that always comes before sunrise. You may feel slower, more reflective, or strangely emotional, and though it may frustrate you, this inner cleansing is not punishment. It is preparation. You are shedding layers you did not realize you had accumulated. Emotional burdens that became part of your posture. Old stories you outgrew but continued to recite. Attachments that once offered comfort but now feel like anchors. Beliefs that kept you safe but no longer keep you empowered. Leaks of energy that drained your spirit more quietly than any heartbreak. Each layer that falls away makes space for something truer. After more than 20 years studying astrology and human behavior, one pattern has never failed: when a Leo finally releases the past, the universe responds with the urgency of a sunrise. The sun does not rise timidly, it erupts into the sky. Likewise, your rebirth will not be subtle. You are rewriting your internal narrative, and as Jupiter prepares to move forward, that shift will begin attracting abundance at a speed that might surprise even your naturally confident nature. Your emotions are your compass guiding you toward authenticity. Your intuition is the architect restructuring your foundation. Your courage, as always, is the fire propelling you forward. But before this new chapter unveils itself fully, the future brings one final test, a universal tradition as old as any spiritual doctrine. And in the spirit of academic seriousness with a bit of cosmic humor, here is the truth: the past will come knocking again. Not because it belongs in your future, but because it wants to know if it still has a key to your door. This return can take many forms. A familiar person reappearing, behaving as though time has not passed. A situation resurfacing that you thought you already outgrew. A nostalgic temptation dressed up as destiny. A conversation you promised yourself you would never entertain again. Psychological theory explains this as closure-seeking behavior, the mind's urge to revisit unfinished emotional territory. Astrology frames it as a karmic loop. Philosophers refer to it as the returning gate. Buddhists describe it as the second arrow, the suffering that only strikes if you choose not to dodge it. Regardless of the terminology, the message is consistent across disciplines. Before any major upgrade, life checks to ensure you are not bringing old energy into a new season. Your task in this test is deceptively simple. Recognize the pattern. Choose differently than you did before. Protect your peace as though it were sacred currency, because in 2026, it will be the very foundation upon which your blessings rest. The universe is not trying to tempt you with a redo, it is offering you the opportunity to prove to yourself that you have outgrown what once held power over you. Once you make that choice with clarity, confidence, and maybe a touch of well-earned Leo flair, the gates of 2026 will open, and what stands on the other side will feel like the life you were always meant to claim. As you approach 2026, there is an unmistakable sense of anticipation in the air, the kind that feels both thrilling and slightly unnerving, like standing backstage before you step into a spotlight you know you were born for. In the Chinese Zodiac, 2026 is the year of the horse, a symbol of movement, momentum, and untamed vitality. Its energy harmonizes naturally with Leo's fire, confidence, and instinctive leadership. For Leos born in a horse year, this alignment doubles your luck, but even if you are not, the collective energy still amplifies your most magnetic qualities. Your charisma sharpens, your creativity grows bolder, your authority rises, and your capacity for expansion widens. Visibility increases, reputation strengthens, and yes, the conditions for wealth and influence ripen. And then there is the astrological jackpot, Jupiter entering Leo mid-year. Jupiter, the planet of abundance, opportunity, and blessing, moves into your sign like a benefactor with deep pockets and a fondness for your dramatic flair. This marks the beginning of your harvest season, the period when years of inner work finally translate into tangible growth. But years of research and chart analysis have taught me a humbling truth: when Jupiter enters your sign, it expands everything, including the parts of your life you haven't cleaned up. It magnifies your strengths, but also your unresolved emotions, unaddressed habits, and unexamined patterns. It is cosmic generosity mixed with cosmic accountability. That is why the universe has been pushing you to heal old wounds, release outdated attachments, forgive what you no longer need to carry, confront what you've been avoiding, strengthen your boundaries, build new foundations, and refine your sense of identity. Abundance has weight, and success has a way of exposing whatever is not structurally sound. Visibility is not only glamorous, it is revealing. The life waiting for you in 2026 requires a sturdier, clearer, and more self-aware version of you, someone capable of handling the opportunities that abundance carries in its shadow. This inner preparation is especially important as your relationships shift into a new era. Whether someone from your past returns seeking closure or a new connection steps into your orbit, the outcome depends entirely on who you have become, not who you were in previous chapters. In 2026, your relationships will mirror your healing rather than your wounds. You no longer find excitement in chaos disguised as passion. You no longer feel obligated to entertain people who admire your light but have no intention of rising with you. Half effort, half love, and half time commitments are no longer acceptable currencies in your emotional economy. Your heart now requires full presence, your loyalty demands reciprocity, and your energy deserves respect. A deep, meaningful, and potentially life-altering connection is on its way, but it will only stabilize if you uphold the boundaries, maturity, and self-worth you've spent the last year cultivating. This is the year you love smarter, choose clearer, and receive better. As you prepare to step into the next chapter of your life, the guidance for Leo becomes a thoughtful blend of astrological wisdom, psychological grounding, spiritual clarity, and just enough humor to remind you not to take yourself too seriously. The first piece of advice is deceptively simple: use your mind, not just your heart. Your heart, magnificent as it is, tends to operate like a lion bursting out of the gate, brave, expressive, and eager to love everything in sight. But your mind is the strategist, the silent general who evaluates the battlefield before charging in. When both work together, you become unstoppable. That leads naturally to the next principle: ask questions and research everything. A Leo who combines curiosity with discernment becomes a force of nature, not because of brute strength but because of informed intention. Another crucial lesson is learning not to sprint into situations without understanding the terrain. Passion is one of your greatest gifts, but impulsiveness is optional and often expensive. Take the time to observe, to understand, to analyze before committing your energy. Speaking of energy, protect it like you would a private estate. Not everyone deserves VIP access to your inner world, and certainly not everyone should be allowed backstage where the real magic happens. Maintaining boundaries is not arrogance, it is maintenance of emotional health. Likewise, refuse to dim your light for people who claim you are too much. What they are really saying is that they are unprepared for the brilliance you naturally radiate. Dimming yourself to make others comfortable is the fastest way to betray your own nature. As the year winds down, continue doing the inner work with patience and sincerity. December carries a special spiritual potency, and your ability to manifest what you want in 2026 depends heavily on the alignment you cultivate now. Inner clarity becomes outer opportunity. And finally, expect blessings, but also prepare for responsibility. Big dreams require big readiness. The universe is not withholding anything from you, it is simply ensuring that when the blessings arrive, you are strong enough, wise enough, and grounded enough to sustain them. In other words, your destiny is not a matter of luck but of preparation meeting opportunity, with a little Leo flair sprinkled on top. As we arrive at the final message for Leo, it becomes clear that the best is not simply on its way, it is already moving toward you with the momentum of a fate long overdue. Your story is no longer anchored to the challenges that once defined you. Your heart, which carried more weight in 2025 than most people realized, is beginning to repair itself in ways both subtle and profound. And your destiny, once slowed by old attachments and outdated versions of yourself, is now accelerating with a sense of purpose that feels almost predestined. After years of studying birth charts, psychological blueprints, and more cosmic cycles than any reasonable person should admit to, I can say confidently that when the universe intends to elevate a sign, it often begins by dismantling everything that limits them. For Leo, that dismantling has already occurred. You endured the unraveling, faced the necessary discomfort, and allowed what needed to fall away to finally drop. What comes next is not the breaking, but the becoming. As you walk into 2026, do so the way the sun rises each morning, without apology, without hesitation, and without shrinking to make others more comfortable. Move forward with the awareness that your power is not something you have to earn, it is something you naturally embody. You are entering a chapter where doors open when you approach them, where opportunities gravitate toward you, and where alignment replaces struggle. The best is not merely coming, it is inevitable, because you have finally become the version of yourself capable of receiving it. And before we close, a gentle reminder for Leo, your cosmic neighbor in sensitivity and intuition: life is meant to be enjoyed, not merely survived. Take moments to breathe, savor, and let joy find you in unexpected places. Allow yourself to celebrate small victories, embrace meaningful connections, and trust that ease is not a luxury but a birthright. If today's message resonated with you, I invite you to support this journey by liking the video, sharing it with someone who might need these words, and subscribing to my channel, Golden Fortune Leo. Your engagement helps the community grow and allows these insights to reach more people seeking clarity and direction. Stay connected, stay inspired, and remember, your brightest chapters are standing at your doorstep.